Captain Sarah Chen stared at the holographic message floating above her desk. She blinked, rubbed her eyes, and read it again. The words didn't change. By order of the Galactic Council, Earth is hereby invited to present its military capabilities at the upcoming Galactic Defense Summit. Sarah's heart raced. After decades of being ignored by the galactic community, humanity was finally getting a chance to prove itself. As Earth's newly appointed ambassador, the responsibility fell squarely on her shoulders. She tapped her comm badge. Chen to Admiral Rodriguez. "Sir, you need to see this." Within minutes, the Admiral's gruff face appeared on her screen. "What is it, Captain? This better be important." Sarah forwarded the message. She watched as the Admiral's expression changed from annoyance to shock, then to a grim smile. "Well, I'll be damned," he muttered. "They finally noticed us." "What should we do, sir?" Sarah asked. The Admiral leaned back in his chair. "We do exactly what they're asking. We show them what humans are made of." Over the next few weeks, Sarah and her team worked tirelessly to prepare. They selected the best weapons Earth had to offer, from simple handguns to advanced energy rifles. Each item was carefully packed and loaded onto their ship, the ESS Horizon. The night before their departure, Sarah couldn't sleep. She paced the length of her quarters, going over every detail in her mind. What if something went wrong? What if the aliens laughed at their weapons? What if this was all just a cruel joke? A soft chime interrupted her thoughts. It was a message from her younger sister, Maya. "Hey sis, just wanted to wish you good luck. Show those aliens what Earth can do. We're all rooting for you." Sarah smiled, feeling a wave of determination wash over her. Maya was right. This wasn't just about her or even the military. This was about all of humanity. The next morning, Sarah stood on the bridge of the Horizon as it prepared for launch. Her team, a mix of soldiers and scientists, waited nervously for her orders. "All right, everyone," she said, her voice steady despite her nerves. "This is our moment. Let's make Earth proud." The ship lifted off smoothly, leaving Earth's atmosphere behind. As they engaged the faster-than-light drive, Sarah felt a mix of excitement and fear. They were about to enter a part of the galaxy no human had ever seen before. The journey took 3 days. 3 days of checking and rechecking their weapons, of practicing their presentations, of wondering what awaited them. Finally, they arrived at the Galactic Hub. The massive space station loomed before them, a sprawling structure of metal and light. Ships of all shapes and sizes darted around it like fireflies. As they docked, Sarah's comm badge chirped, "Captain Chen." A melodious alien voice said, "Welcome to the Galactic Hub. Please prepare your team for inspection." Sarah took a deep breath and nodded to her team. This was it. They stepped off the ship and into a world of wonder. Aliens of every description moved through the station's corridors. Some walked on 2 legs, others on 4 or more. Some floated, while others slithered. But as Sarah and her team moved through the crowd, she noticed something unsettling. The aliens were staring at them, not with curiosity or welcome, but with dismissal and even contempt. She overheard snippets of conversation, translated by her earpiece. "Humans? Why are they even here? I heard they still use projectile weapons. How quaint. This should be amusing. At least." Sarah clenched her fists, anger rising in her chest. They hadn't even seen what humans could do yet, and they were already judging them. A tall, blue-skinned alien approached them. "I am Zorax, your guide," it said. "The council is waiting. Follow me." As they walked, Sarah leaned close to her second-in-command, Lieutenant Park. "Did you hear them?" she whispered. "They think we're a joke." Park nodded grimly. "Then I guess we'll have to show them how wrong they are." They reached a massive door, ornately decorated with symbols from 100 alien cultures. Zorax turned to them. "Beyond this door lies the Galactic Council," it said. "Are you prepared to present your capabilities?" The way it said capabilities made it sound like a punchline. Sarah straightened her back and looked Zorax in the eyes. "We're ready," she said firmly. As the doors began to open, Sarah felt the weight of humanity's future on her shoulders. Whatever happened next would change everything. She took a deep breath and stepped forward, ready to face the Galactic Council and prove that humanity was a force to be reckoned with. The doors swung open, revealing a vast circular chamber. Captain Sarah Chen and her team stepped inside, their footsteps echoing in the sudden silence. The Galactic Council chamber was a sight to behold, with high ceilings that seemed to touch the stars themselves. Hundreds of alien beings sat in tiered seats, all eyes fixed on the human delegation. Sarah swallowed hard, fighting the urge to fidget with her uniform. She could feel the weight of countless alien gazes, most of them skeptical or openly hostile. The silence was broken by a booming voice that seemed to come from everywhere at once. "The human delegation from Earth may approach the center," the voice announced. Sarah nodded to her team, and they moved forward. As they walked, she couldn't help but marvel at the diversity around her. There were beings with multiple limbs, some with no limbs at all, others that seemed to be made of pure energy. It was a stark reminder of just how small humanity's place in the galaxy truly was. They reached the center of the chamber, where a circular platform rose from the floor. Sarah stepped onto it, her heart pounding. She cleared her throat and began to speak. "Esteemed members of the Galactic Council, we thank you for this opportunity to present Earth's military capabilities." A ripple of what sounded like laughter spread through the chamber. Sarah felt her cheeks burn, but she pressed on. "We understand that our technology may seem different from what you're used to, but we assure you, Earth's weapons are both effective and innovative." A tall insectoid being leaned forward in its seat. When it spoke, its mandibles clicked in what Sarah's translator interpreted as amusement. "Different, you say? Young species, we have seen the scans of your ships. You still rely on chemical propulsion and kinetic weapons. How quaint." More laughter echoed through the chamber. Sarah clenched her fists, trying to keep her composure. She glanced at Lieutenant Park, who gave her a subtle nod of encouragement. "With all due respect," Sarah said, her voice stronger now, "I believe you'll find our weapons are more than capable, if you'll allow us to demonstrate." "Demonstrate?" interrupted another voice. This one belonged to a being that looked like a floating ball of purple gas, and risked damage to this sacred chamber. "I think not." Sarah felt her frustration growing. They hadn't come all this way just to be laughed at and dismissed. She was about to protest when yet another voice cut through the chatter. "Perhaps," this new voice said, "we should give the humans a chance to prove themselves." The chamber fell silent. Sarah turned to see who had spoken. It was a humanoid figure, tall and slender, with pale blue skin and eyes that seemed to glow with an inner light. Ambassador Zix, the booming voice from earlier, acknowledged. "You wish to sponsor this demonstration?" The blue being, Ambassador Zix, nodded. "I do. After all, is not the purpose of this summit to evaluate all potential allies, even those we might initially underestimate?" There was a moment of tense silence. Sarah held her breath, waiting. Finally, the booming voice spoke again. "Very well. The human delegation will be allowed to demonstrate their weapons. But not here. You will be escorted to our testing grounds." Sarah felt a wave of relief wash over her. They had a chance. She bowed slightly to the council. "Thank you for this opportunity. We won't let you down." As they were led out of the chamber, Lieutenant Park leaned in close. "Nice job, Captain. But now comes the hard part." Sarah nodded grimly. They had gotten their foot in the door, but the real challenge was just beginning. They would have to prove not just the worth of their weapons, but the worth of humanity itself. As they walked, Sarah noticed Ambassador Zix falling into step beside her. "I hope you understand what you're getting into, Captain," the ambassador said softly. "The council does not look kindly on disappointment." Sarah met the ambassador's glowing eyes. "We're not here to disappoint, "Ambassador, we're here to surprise." Zix's lips curved into what might have been a smile. "For your sake, and for the sake of your species, I hope you're right." They reached a transport pad, and Sarah took one last look at the Grand Council chamber behind them. Whatever happened next would determine humanity's place in the galaxy. As the transport beam enveloped them, Sarah silently promised herself and her entire species they would not fail. The transport beam faded, and Captain Sarah Chen found herself standing in a vast, dome-shaped arena. The air smelled of ozone and something alien she couldn't quite place. Around her, the rest of the human team materialized, each clutching their assigned weapons. "Welcome to the Galactic testing grounds," a robotic voice announced. "Please prepare your demonstration." Sarah nodded to her team. They had practiced this 100 times on Earth, but now, under the scrutiny of countless alien eyes, it felt different. High above, she could see the members of the Galactic Council watching from floating observation platforms. "Let's start with something simple," Sarah said, trying to keep her voice steady. She nodded to Corporal Rodriguez, who stepped forward with a standard-issue pistol. As Rodriguez took aim at the holographic targets that had appeared, Sarah heard snickers from the alien audience. She gritted her teeth, reminding herself that they hadn't seen anything yet. Rodriguez fired. The crack of the gunshot echoed through the arena, and the first target disappeared in a burst of light. Then the second, then the third. In less than 5 seconds, all 10 targets were gone. The snickering stopped. "As you can see," Sarah announced, her confidence growing, "our projectile weapons are fast, accurate, and effective." A gravelly voice from one of the platforms called out, "Impressive speed, human. But how does it fare against moving targets?" Sarah smiled. This was exactly what they had prepared for. "Sergeant Lee, if you would." Lee stepped up, carrying what looked like a simple rifle. But as she raised it, parts of the weapon began to shift and change. The alien audience leaned forward, suddenly interested. Holographic targets appeared, zipping around the arena at incredible speeds. Lee tracked them with practiced ease, firing off shots that seemed to curve in midair to hit their marks. Every single target was destroyed. Murmurs of surprise rippled through the watching aliens. Sarah caught sight of Ambassador Zix, who gave her an approving nod. "Our weapons are not just fast," Sarah explained. "They're smart. This rifle uses a combination of AI targeting and micro-thrusters to ensure each shot hits its mark, no matter how fast the target is moving." The demonstrations continued. They showed off plasma grenades that could clear entire sections of the arena, energy shields that could withstand incredible amounts of damage, and even a prototype weapon that could temporarily disable electronic systems. With each demonstration, the mood in the arena shifted. The dismissive laughter from earlier was gone, replaced by a tense silence and occasional gasps of surprise. Finally, it was time for their piece de resistance. Sarah stepped forward herself, carrying what looked like a simple metal rod. "This," she said, her voice echoing through the now silent arena, "is perhaps our greatest achievement in weapons technology." She pressed a button, and the rod expanded, forming a sleek rifle. But it didn't stop there. The weapon continued to change, parts shifting and rearranging until Sarah held what looked like a massive cannon. "We call it the adaptive arsenal," Sarah explained. "One weapon, countless configurations. It can analyze any combat situation and transform into the ideal weapon for that scenario." She nodded to the control booth, and suddenly the arena was filled with a mix of different targets, some stationary, some moving, some protected by energy shields. Sarah took aim. What happened next left the alien audience in stunned silence. The weapon shifted and changed with each shot, becoming a sniper rifle for distant targets, a shotgun-like configuration for clustered enemies, and even a rocket launcher for the heavily shielded objectives. In less than a minute, every target was destroyed. As the last holographic enemy faded away, Sarah lowered the weapon, which shrunk back into its compact rod form. She looked up at the Galactic Council members, many of whom were now leaning forward in their seats, their earlier dismissiveness replaced by intense interest. "This concludes our demonstration," Sarah said, her voice strong and clear. "We hope we've shown that while our methods may be different, humanity's weapons technology is advanced, adaptable, and more than capable of standing alongside the best the galaxy has to offer." For a moment, there was complete silence in the arena. Then, to Sarah's surprise, a slow clap started. It was Ambassador Zix, and soon others joined in. The applause grew, echoing through the dome. As Sarah and her team stood at attention, basking in the unexpected approval, she caught sight of one of the highest-ranking council members leaning over to whisper to another. Her universal translator barely picked up the words. "Perhaps we've underestimated these humans after all." Sarah allowed herself a small smile. They had done it. They had proven humanity's worth. But as the applause continued, she couldn't help but wonder, what would this mean for Earth's future in the galactic community? As the applause died down, Captain Sarah Chen and her team were escorted to a waiting area. The air was thick with tension and excitement. They had done well, but what would happen next? "Captain Chen," a melodic voice called out. Sarah turned to see Ambassador Zix approaching, flanked by two other alien beings she didn't recognize. "Ambassador," Sarah greeted, trying to keep her voice steady. "I hope our demonstration met the Council's expectations." Zix's lips curved into what might have been a smile. "You've certainly given us much to discuss, Captain. The Council is convening now to deliberate on your presentation." One of the aliens beside Zix, a tall, reptilian being with iridescent scales, spoke up. "I must admit, human, your weapons are intriguing. Particularly that last one. The adaptive arsenal, was it?" Sarah nodded, feeling a surge of pride. "Yes, it's our latest innovation. We believe adaptability is key in any conflict." The reptilian alien's forked tongue flicked out, tasting the air. "Indeed. Though I wonder, how would such a weapon fare against more advanced defenses?" Before Sarah could respond, alarms began blaring throughout the facility. Red lights flashed, and a computerized voice echoed through the corridors. "Warning! Unauthorized vessel detected. Hostile intent confirmed. All personnel to battle stations." Zix's glowing eyes widened. "Impossible. The hub's defenses are impenetrable." Sarah's training kicked in immediately. "Ambassador, what's the situation? How can we help?" Zix seemed to hesitate for a moment, then nodded. "Follow me to the command center. Your expertise might be valuable." As they raced through the corridors, Sarah could feel the entire station shuddering. Whatever was attacking, it was powerful. They burst into the command center, a vast room filled with holographic displays and alien technology Sarah could barely comprehend. One of the council members, a being that looked like a sentient cloud of golden mist, floated over to them. "Ambassador Zix, why have you brought the humans here? This is a secure area." Zix stood firm. "These humans have just demonstrated weapons technology that surprised even us. Perhaps they can offer a fresh perspective." The golden mist seemed to swirl in agitation, but before it could respond, a massive explosion rocked the station. One of the holographic displays flickered and showed a terrifying sight. A massive black ship, bristling with weapons, was tearing through the hub's outer defenses like they were paper. "It's the Void Reavers," someone gasped. "They found us." Sarah stepped forward, her eyes fixed on the display. "What are Void Reavers?" The reptilian alien from earlier answered, its voice grim. "Space pirates. The worst of the worst. They attack without warning, take what they want, and leave nothing but destruction in their wake." Sarah watched as the hub's defenses tried to repel the attack. Energy beams and plasma torpedoes bounced harmlessly off the Void Reaver ship's shields. It was clear that the hub's weapons, as advanced as they were, weren't making a dent. "Your defenses aren't working," Sarah said, her mind racing. "But maybe we can help." All eyes in the command center turned to her. The Golden Mist Council member spoke, its voice skeptical. "And how, human, do you propose to do that? Your weapons, while impressive for your species, are surely no match for—" Sarah cut him off. "With all due respect, you haven't seen what our weapons can really do. The demonstration was just a taste." She turned to her team. "Lieutenant Park, the prototype. Is it ready?" Park nodded grimly. "It's untested in real combat, Captain, but it's ready." Sarah turned back to the council members and Zix. "We have a weapon, something we've been developing in secret. It might be our only chance." There was a moment of tense silence as the alien leaders exchanged glances. Another explosion rocked the station, and alarms blared even louder. Finally, Zix spoke. "We have little choice. What do you need, Captain Chen?" Sarah's eyes gleamed with determination. "Get us to your main weapon control system, and pray that this works." As they rushed out of the command center, Sarah couldn't help but think about the irony of the situation. They had come here to prove humanity's worth, to show that they deserved a place among the stars. Now, they might be the galaxy's only hope for survival. Captain Sarah Chen and her team raced through the shuddering corridors of the Galactic hub, followed closely by Ambassador Zix and several bewildered council members. Explosions rocked the station as the Void Reaver's relentless assault continued. They'd burst into the main weapons control room, a vast chamber filled with alien technology that hummed with barely contained power. Alien technicians worked frantically at control panels, their efforts seemingly in vain against the overwhelming force of the attack. "Clear the room," Sarah ordered, her voice carrying an authority that surprised even the council members. To her amazement, they complied, ushering out the confused technicians. Lieutenant Park stepped forward, carrying a small, unassuming black case. "Captain, are you sure about this? The Nexus disruptor is still experimental. We've never tested it in actual combat." Sarah nodded grimly. "We don't have a choice, Park. It's this or watch the hub fall." She turned to the alien leaders. "What we're about to show you goes beyond anything we demonstrated earlier. This weapon, it's not just a new type of gun or missile. It's a whole new approach to warfare." The Reptilian Council member leaned in, curiosity overriding fear. "What does it do, human?" Sarah took a deep breath. "It disrupts the very fabric of space-time around its target. In theory, it can create localized pockets of altered physics, rendering even the most advanced shields useless." A murmur ran through the alien observers. The Golden Mist Council member swirled agitatedly. "Impossible. Such technology is beyond even our most advanced theoretical models." "Maybe for you," Sarah said, a hint of pride in her voice. "But humans have always excelled at thinking outside the box. Now let's see if it works in practice." Park opened the case, revealing a small spherical device covered in intricate patterns. It pulsed with a soft, blue light. Sarah carefully lifted it and approached the main control interface. "We'll need to integrate it with your targeting systems," she explained. "The effect is precise, but we need to hit them in just the right spot." For a tense few minutes, Sarah and her team worked to connect the Nexus disruptor to the alien systems. The hub shook violently, and warning klaxons blared continuously. Finally, Park looked up. "It's ready, Captain." Sarah nodded and turned to the main view screen. The Void Reaver ship loomed large, its black hull absorbing energy blasts from the hub's defenses like they were nothing. "Here goes everything," Sarah muttered. She pressed the activation sequence. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then, a barely visible ripple of energy shot out from the hub, striking the Void Reaver ship dead center. At first, it appeared to have no effect. But then, the space around the ship began to warp and twist. Its shields flickered and died. Portions of its hull seemed to phase in and out of existence. Stunned silence fell over the control room as they watched the mighty Void Reaver ship begin to break apart, torn asunder by forces it couldn't comprehend. "By the cosmic elders," Ambassador Zix breathed. It's working. Within minutes, the Void Reaver threat was neutralized. The remaining pirates fled, their seemingly invincible flagship reduced to drifting debris. As the immediate danger passed, the full implications of what had just happened began to sink in. The alien leaders turned to Sarah and her team, their earlier dismissiveness replaced by a mix of awe and wariness. The reptilian council member was the first to speak. "Captain Chen, I believe we owe you and your species an apology. We gravely underestimated you." Sarah nodded, accepting the apology graciously. "We understand. Humanity may be young compared to your civilizations, but we've learned to be resourceful. We hope this demonstrates that we have much to offer the galactic community." Ambassador Zix stepped forward. "Indeed it does, Captain. But it also raises new questions. A weapon of this power, it could change the balance of power in the entire galaxy." Sarah met the ambassador's glowing gaze steadily, "which is why we hope to work with the Council to ensure it's used responsibly. We didn't come here to dominate, but to cooperate." The Golden Mist Council member swirled thoughtfully. Perhaps it is time we reconsidered humanity's place in galactic affairs." As the aliens began to discuss among themselves, Sarah turned to her team. They had done it. They had not only proved humanity's worth, but potentially changed the course of galactic history. But as she watched the heated debate among the council members, Sarah couldn't help but wonder, what would this new era bring for Earth and its people? The aftermath of the Void Reaver attack left the galactic hub in a state of controlled chaos. Repair crews worked tirelessly to mend the damage, while security forces remained on high alert. But in the Grand Chamber of the Galactic Council, a different kind of tension filled the air. Captain Sarah Chen stood at the center of the room, her team flanking her protectively. Before them, the full assembly of the Galactic Council had gathered for an emergency session. The chamber buzzed with hushed conversations in 100 alien languages. Ambassador Zix stepped forward, raising a hand for silence. The room quieted immediately. "Esteemed colleagues," Zix began, "we face an unprecedented situation. The humans, whom we had dismissed as a primitive species, have not only demonstrated weapons beyond our understanding, but have saved the hub from certain destruction." Murmurs rippled through the assembly. Sarah stood tall, her face a mask of calm professionalism, even as her heart raced. The Reptilian Council member spoke next. "We cannot ignore the implications of this human technology. The Nexus Disruptor, as they call it, could shift the balance of power in the entire galaxy. Precisely why we should confiscate it immediately." The Golden Mist Council member swirled agitatedly. "Such power cannot be left in the hands of an unproven species." Sarah tensed, but before she could respond, another voice rang out. It belonged to a crystalline being that sparkled with inner light. "And what of the Void Reavers?" the crystalline alien asked. "For centuries, they have terrorized our trade routes and outlying colonies. Yet in one encounter, the humans defeated them utterly. Should we not consider the benefits of an alliance?" The chamber erupted into heated debate. Some council members argued for immediately inducting humanity into the galactic community, while others demanded that Earth be quarantined until the full extent of their technology could be assessed. Sarah exchanged worried glances with Lieutenant Park. This was not going as they had hoped. Finally, unable to stand idle any longer, she stepped forward. "Esteemed council members," she said, her voice cutting through the din, "if I may speak." Slowly, the room quieted. All eyes turned to Sarah. She took a deep breath and continued. "We came here to prove that humanity is ready to join the galactic community. Yes, our weapons are powerful, but they're not why we're here. We're here because we believe in cooperation, in the exchange of ideas and culture." She gestured to the Nexus Disruptor, still connected to the hub's systems. "This device, it's not just a weapon. It's a tool, one that could revolutionize space travel, energy production, even medicine. But we can't unlock its full potential alone." Sarah looked around the room, meeting the alien gazes one by one. "We're offering you a partnership. Not a subservient role, not a dominant one, but an equal exchange. Together, we could face threats like the Void Reavers. Together, we could push the boundaries of science and exploration further than ever before. A thoughtful silence fell over the chamber. Even the most skeptical council members seemed to be considering her words. Ambassador Zix spoke up. Captain Chen speaks wisdom. Perhaps it is time we looked beyond our preconceptions and embraced new possibilities. The crystalline being chimed in agreement. I concur. The humans have proven themselves not just through strength, but through their willingness to use that strength in defense of others. But the Golden Mist Council member wasn't convinced. Pretty words, but how can we trust them? How do we know they won't turn this power against us once they've gained our trust? Sarah stepped forward once more. Trust is earned, not given. We're willing to work with you, to submit to oversight, and share our advancements. All we ask is the chance to prove ourselves. The council chamber fell silent as the members contemplated Sarah's words. The fate of humanity's place in the galaxy hung in the balance. Would they be welcomed as partners, feared as potential conquerors, or dismissed once again? As the council prepared to vote, Sarah stood tall, ready to face whatever verdict they reached. No matter what happened next, she knew one thing for certain. The galaxy would never be the same again. The tension in the council chamber was palpable as the members cast their votes. Captain Sarah Chen and her team stood at attention, their faces masks of calm despite the gravity of the moment. This vote would determine not just their fate, but the fate of all humanity. As the last vote was cast, a hush fell over the chamber. Ambassador Zix stepped forward, a datapad in hand, ready to announce the results. Sarah held her breath. By a majority decision, Zix began, voice echoing through the chamber. The Galactic Council has voted to accept humanity as probationary members of the Galactic Alliance. A collective exhale seemed to sweep through the room. Sarah felt a wave of relief wash over her, but she maintained her composure. This was just the beginning. Zix continued. However, this membership comes with conditions. Humanity will share its Nexus disruptor technology with the Alliance for Joint Research and Development. In return, we will grant Earth access to select galactic technologies and knowledge bases. The Golden Mist Council member swirled forward. Additionally, a joint oversight committee will be formed to monitor Earth's integration into galactic society and ensure the responsible use of advanced technologies. Sarah nodded. It was a fair compromise, better than she had dared to hope for. On behalf of Earth, we accept these terms, she said, her voice steady and clear. The crystalline being chimed in, its facets glittering. Let it be noted that humanity's first significant act in galactic affairs was one of protection and self-sacrifice. This bodes well for our future cooperation. As the council members began to disperse, discussing the implications of their decision, Ambassador Zix approached Sarah and her team. Captain Chen, Zix said, a hint of what might have been a smile on its alien features. You and your team have accomplished something truly remarkable today. You've not only saved the hub, but potentially changed the course of galactic history. Sarah allowed herself a small smile. Thank you, Ambassador. But this is just the beginning. We have a lot of work ahead of us. Zix nodded. Indeed, the galaxy is a vast and often dangerous place. But I believe that with humanity's ingenuity and our combined resources, we can face any challenge. As they spoke, a commotion near the chamber's entrance caught their attention. A group of alien journalists had somehow made their way in, clamoring for statements and holographic images. Captain Chen, one of them called out, "How does it feel to be the first human to address the Galactic Council? Is it true that Earth weapons can bend space-time?" Another shouted. Sarah took a deep breath, realizing that this was the moment Earth's existence would truly become known to the wider galaxy. She stepped forward, ready to address the galactic media for the first time. "People of the galaxy," she began, her voice clear and confident. "Today marks a new chapter in both human and galactic history. We come in peace, with open hands and open minds, ready to learn from you as much as we hope to contribute. As Sarah continued her impromptu speech, back on Earth, news of the galactic developments was just beginning to break. Governments scrambled to form unified responses, scientists excitedly prepared for an influx of new knowledge, and ordinary citizens looked to the stars with a mix of wonder and apprehension. In the days and weeks that followed, the galaxy watched with fascination as humanity took its first steps onto the galactic stage. Earth became a hub of activity, with alien diplomats and scientists arriving to establish relations and begin joint research projects. The integration wasn't without its challenges. Cultural misunderstandings, technological disparities, and lingering suspicions all had to be navigated carefully. But slowly, surely, humanity began to find its place among the stars. And it all started because the Galactic Council had laughed at human guns, until they fired. As Sarah Chen looked out at the star-filled expanse visible from the hub's observation deck, she couldn't help but smile. They had come here to prove humanity's worth, and they had done so much more. They had opened the door to a future filled with endless possibilities. The galaxy would never be the same again, and neither would humanity.